champion.
Get ready to feel
the power.
That's Colin, Crandall over there, myself, Adam Roorda. I apologize for everybody out there. We have run into a little traffic issue here in Los Angeles, so says Colin. Man, you've lived here in Los Angeles for how long?
I still can't find my way through traffic. Yep, I got
still can't find your way through traffic.
It's terrible though. LA traffic, when you get used to regular bad and then all of a sudden you get extra super bad, it can be tough. But anyway, better
I have to give you a hard time, man.
Oh man, I know it.
Because you lived here for how long? You should know you have to leave a little early.
Oh
man.
yeah, I know. It's just never early enough. It seems.
Gives us something to talk about.
It does. But anyway.
Yeah, I gave our first guest a moment here. I told him. Let's see. 3 minutes ago, 5 minutes. So
perfect.
We have them coming up here in 2 minutes. For everybody that's just tuning in, we love you guys. You are absolutely amazing. If you're on Fight TV, make sure to go on over, hit us up on our social media as well as the Hannibal TV, and vice versa. If you're over there on either of the social media, any of the social media channels, anywhere besides Fight TV, make sure to go over on over to FITE.tv. Also, make sure you hit up MMAPowerHour.com. Everybody, there is an amazing bare knuckle event happening this weekend, but I helped set up Chuck Liddell commentary, alternative commentary for BKFC 19 with Paige Vincent and Rachel Ostovich. So make sure you click through on the links on the website. That really helps us out. That helps everything that's going on. You guys are absolutely amazing. And also, I want to throw out Ness's Hemp. Go over to mmaph.nesseshemp.com. You get a big discount on your purchase of full spectrum CBD oil. It is the highest full spectrum CBD oil on the market.
It's so high that even Tommy Chong would agree you shouldn't throw it out. Or would he?
No, he would.
He wouldn't.
He would, because you're not going to get high from it, but the quality is absolutely high.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tommy Chong's products, I can tell you, I'm involved with those as well out in Oklahoma for vapes and gummies. If you're out in Oklahoma, make sure that you just do a little search here. If you want to, go ahead and follow HMP Trading. It's the letter H and the letter M as in man, P as in piano, trading, and yeah, just add, follow. I'm just starting to get things set up there. But yeah, Colin, well, let's just jump right into our first guest here.
Do
and you can give
Okie
an introduction.
dokie, as they would say in Oklahoma. Okie dokie. Anyway,
I don't know.
Probably not, though.
Actually, they do say
they
okie
do
dokie.
Probably. They're Okies. They are the Okie dokies.
Yeah, well,
anyway,
it's a Midwest thing to say okie dokie.
Yes, it is.
Let's get into that Skype dance.
Let's rock
here.
Skype dance, man.
Skype dance. There he is.
Hey, Brendan, are you there?
Hey, I'm here. How you doing?
Doing great, my friend. How about yourself?
Great, thank you. Good
Excellent.
For having me. Thanks for having me.
Yes, I appreciate you. It looks like you've already hit the video button, so we see you, and that's all we're going to be able to do here. As long as you can see yourself in the center, that would be great. We're going to give you a proper introduction. So we are live here, and ladies and gentlemen, excited to have this guest on the show for the first time among many other tremendous top contenders and champions. Mostly we've had a lot of Americans, so we're happy to have one of our great friends from the United Kingdom. We are talking about a top contender qualifying for the playoffs, a man who is in the running for $1 million in the PFL tournament. We are talking about Mr. Brandon Loughnane. Welcome to the show, Brandon.
Thanks for having me, guys, and that's a great introduction. Love it.
Absolutely. Well, Brendan, I appreciate you a lot, my friend. And the division you're competing in, I think, is going to be lightweight. Is that correct or no?
I'm a featherweight.
Featherweight. Okay, so then I think we may have an all featherweight show here, and so that is definitely fantastic, man. That's a great competitive division. Have you always been at 145, or have you experimented with other weight classes?
I've fought maybe 4 or 5 fights at 55, but guys are just too big, so 45 suits me down to the ground now. I've got to cut down to a T. I love it.
Excellent. And where are you training now, and where did you train, or do you train when you're in England?
I'm all over the place. My first PFL fight was, the camp was in Dubai. The second camp was in San Diego. This one's now in Vegas. I'm just on the move so much. Always looking for the best trainer and the best partners.
And have you lived in the United States for several years, or how long have you been here?
No, I just come in and out for fights.
Gotcha. And so you do live in England. Where about?
I live in Manchester.
Manchester, same as Michael Bisping, I think, where he originally was from, right?
Not quite. He's from a bit further down the road, but yeah.
Gotcha. So who, if anyone, inspired you to pursue MMA? Were you a fan of people like Michael Bisping or other British MMA fighters or any American MMA fighters? Were there anybody that that inspired you to get in that you were a big fan of before you started training for this great sport?
My next door neighbour used to do MMA, and I kind of grew up watching him do it. And then I was only 16 at the time. He kind of bundled me in the back of the car in the school uniform, and then that was it. I never looked back since. Here I am, 31 years old.
Absolutely, right in your prime. Did you have any relatives that had enjoyed training in combat sports?
I had a great uncle that was a very famous wrestler from Ireland called Dan O'Mahony. And I think that's where the genes come from, because my mum and dad, nobody else is sporty in my family.
Understood. So that being the case, were your parents supportive, or was one not and one yes, or what was the reaction when they saw that you were embarking on a career as an MMA fighter?
My family just support what I do. Even when times got hard and I was coming home with black eyes, I told her it wouldn't be like this forever and I will get better, and that's kind of what happened.
Absolutely. Do you have any brothers or sisters?
I'm an only child.
Ah, interesting. So nobody to beat up there, but you know, I'm sure that you had many friends. Can I ask you, what's the difference in the thought of MMA and the feeling in the MMA community between Great Britain and various places here in the United States?
In terms of...
That's a good question. I guess in terms of, like, is there an equal amount of fans and prestige, or is there more criticism in one place? Are the guys you train with having the same attitude, or I guess perhaps what's similar and what's different?
I feel like MMA is growing as a whole in every country in the world. Organizations like PFL are expanding and paying people good money, and you can actually make a full career now out of MMA. So people are taking it up like they take up soccer as a kid now. People are starting in just MMA and aspiring to be professional MMA fighters. So it's great to see.
Absolutely. So when you fought over in England, I can take a look now if my producer would go down. Let me take a look and see some of the organizations that you've been with. Okay, so you were at ACB, which is a good organization, and there you go. There you were with BAMA. That was a great organization that's no longer around, right?
Yeah, I've done the circuits. I'm 21-3 now. I fought in over 6 or 7 countries now.
Yep.
I fought in the UFC, I fought in ACB, I've been on the Contender, I've been on the Ultimate Fighter, I've fought in PFL. For a 31-year-old, I've been around a bit.
Absolutely, you have, and I see that great win in Dana White Contender Series over Bill Algeo. I was reading comments from some people in an article about you, and several people were saying it's just stupid that the UFC missed the opportunity to sign you. I'm sure you're happy with the PFL, but did you have any thoughts on that, or was there anything that you were not able to come to an agreement on, or were they just not aware of the talent you had, do you think?
Who knows? Who knows what happened there? But all I can say is I am extremely happy with the way things have turned out. I wasn't at the time. I was very, very disheartened.
Yep.
But now I'm on a 7-fight win streak. I've won 11 out of my last 12. I'm flying. I'm riding high. I've got an extremely tough fight in front of me right now, but I feel like I'm at the peak of my career. Now's the time.
Absolutely. And you're in contention to win that $1 million. What would $1 million be in the money over in England? I know a lot of people know this, but you probably know Americans are not so aware of anything outside of our country. So are you guys in England still using the British pounds, or are you using euros?
So 705,000, but who's counting?
There you go, exactly. And that would still go a long way over there. How many fights do you have to win from here, now that you've qualified for the playoffs, to win that $1 million prize?
This one and the next one.
Wow, 2 away. Okay, and so who is your opponent for this coming up fight, or is that not decided?
I'm fighting a gentleman called Mavlid Habalayev. Mavlid is 17-0. He is the main training partner to Khabib. He's from the Dagestani heritage. It's a very tough fight, but I am the top seed, and I am prepared for this man.
Yes, I just noticed that, and that is about a month or so away. So that is exciting, man. You guys are both killers. You're both on an amazing win streak. What do you think, if I could ask you, as a high-level fighter that you are, if you talk to fans, even some fans that have trained or have competed, a lot of fans of MMA, you know, are jiu-jitsu players, some even have black belts, but I feel it's a different thought coming from someone who's actually at your level. Fans look at these guys that train with Khabib, and they pretty much say these guys are going to beat everybody. Nobody has a chance to beat these guys because these guys are so good. Obviously, you don't look at it that way, but what would be the way someone like yourself looks at these guys from Dagestan?
Everyone gets scared. Everyone gets scared of the Dagestanis, and I can see why. They live and breathe this. They were brought up for this, and this is the heritage that they were brought into. Like, we were brought into soccer, they were brought into fighting. But let me just put it out there: I'm scared of no man, and I will bring it to Movlead on the 27th of August. I'll be bringing the fight to him. Trust me on that.
Absolutely. I definitely think it's going to be an amazing contest, and I definitely think you have a great chance. So now, after that fight, is there an idea? I would imagine there is, of one of two gentlemen that you would be fighting. Who else is in the playoffs, and who do you think perhaps that you would be fighting after you beat Movlead?
I'll be either fighting Bubba Jenkins or Chris Wade, two great fighters as well. So, listen, there's two amazing matchups for me. I get to show the world how great I actually am. PFL have gave me the platform to show on ESPN, and I'm so grateful for it.
Absolutely. And you know, it's interesting. There are quite a few really talented British fighters, and several have made their way, but I think being that there's so fewer British fighters fighting in the United States than American fighters, or perhaps Brazilian fighters, that it seems like it's always a nice refreshing change when one of you guys really makes it. Because really, I mean, with Michael Bisping, who else has done really well that comes to your mind from Great Britain in the world of MMA? And we lost connection briefly, so we're going to hopefully have Brendan back here any second now, and then we can ask him that question again. But yeah, definitely a great fighter. For you guys that don't know him, go and look at his fights and his record, because this is a really talented, tough fighter, from Manchester, England. And that is going to be an amazing fight against a regular training partner of Khabib, Movlid Khaybulaev. Anyway, hope we can get Brendan Loughnane back, and but in the meantime, I think that
we'll see what we can do here.
We'll see what we can do. Dr. Adam Roorda is on top of it, and let's see what we can do.
Try do that Skype dance again.
Let's dance.
Wonder if his phone died.
Could be.
And it's almost what it seems like probably happened. Because he's not online now.
His phone may have died.
Oh no.
That would be no fun.
Nope. He's probably scrambling right now. Like, what the heck?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah, what are you doing?
A little bit of Muay Thai.
Why?
I don't know. It came to mind, and I was inspired. What I could do, though, if that wasn't exciting enough for you, is take a little sip of water. How about that?
Well, that's interesting. Here, I just turn it up so everybody can hear your throat gulps.
Exactly. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay, guys, while we're trying to get Brendan Loughnane back, what a good guy, a tough Brit, what I'm going to do is say, yes, for those of you that don't know, PFL runs like a professional sports league, like NBA, NFL, NHL, and Major League Baseball to an extent, in that you have matchups that are made for people that were approved to be in a tournament at a weight class for a season. And the people that win, that accumulate enough points, because I think a lot of people are going to end up with the same record of wins and losses in that season, because there's just not so many games, and there's only a certain amount of fighters that are invited into the season. And so depending on how you win,
there he is.
There we go. Hey, Brendan, we lost you there. Can you hear me?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yep, I got you. I appreciate it, my friend.
Sorry about that. My phone just overheated in the Las Vegas heat.
No problem. I can relate. So let me ask you about that. England, you're not used to that much sun and heat. In fact, I'll tell you a funny thing. Many years ago, I went to a friend from England, and I didn't know much about England, and I said, I guess you Brits just don't like to go out in the sun because it seems like many of you are so pale. And he said, no, it's not that we don't like to go out, and there just isn't any. He said it's very rare that we have a sunny day in the United Kingdom. So this has got to be a huge difference in Las Vegas. Did it take a while for you to get used to, or are you still trying to get used to it?
Well, I was in Dubai. I was in Dubai for 6 months. That place is hot as well. So I'd like to say I'm a bit of a sun chaser, as you will.
Nice. That's cool. Dubai is even hotter than Las Vegas, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's insane, man. Yeah, I remember, I'm an old-time boxing fan as well. I remember probably 3 decades ago, I was quite young. I watched a fight with Barry McGuigan from Ireland.
Oh.
Right?
Yeah,
Remember him? Yes, and he was fighting another top contender or champion, and it was in 110-degree heat. And the Irishman, I just was not used to that. I think he wasn't expecting that, and it was somewhat of a disaster how it turned out. But yeah, people just you don't get that kind of temperature and heat and sun in England or even in Ireland, I'm sure.
That is true. All it is rain all day, baby.
That's it, absolutely. So I was asking you before we got cut off, other than Michael Bisping, were there any other British fighters that came to mind that you were aware of before you got involved in MMA?
No, not really, no. MMA was very new when I got into it. I had my first fight in 2008, so...
Oh, wow.
MMA was brand new, so I was like the start of it, really.
I love it. I interviewed the Count, Michael Bisping, on this very show about a year ago, and
Nice.
Yeah, we had a great chat. He actually took out his artificial eye for me because he said that he's not doing it for everyone. He's not a performing monkey. But he said he liked the way I interviewed him and the good questions I had, and he gave me some great respect. And
That's great.
yeah, and he did it. He's an amazing guy. And I was talking to him because he got in, I think, several years earlier than you. I think 2001 or 2. And
Yep.
and I told him, I said, I guess the only Brits that were there before you were Ian Freeman, the Machine.
That's
Yep,
right.
and
That's right. I remember reading his book.
yes, and then Lee Murray, the very controversial
Lightning Lee Murray.
Yes,
Legend.
yes. What a crazy story that guy had, man, to be an MMA fighter and then to go and be in part of a bank robbery. I mean, is he still kind of a legend over there in England?
Well, he's down in folklore all around the world, really, isn't he?
Yes, people know him. I think he fled to Morocco, but he was a tough guy. He really was. I mean, it's too bad he didn't get to continue because he was just getting better. And I think he and Tito Ortiz were set to on a collision course after that street fight they had, where I think.
So you're really up on your UK MMA history. I like it.
Thank you. Yes, absolutely. I think the last fight that Murray was in or Freeman was in was a UFC brawl from the Hall, and I think it was something like Royal Albert Hall or something, wasn't it?
Yep, you are well up. Yep, your MMA trivia is fantastic.
Yep, absolutely. And then we had great people like Ross Pearson and a lot of great tough Brits. And because you guys have been fighting for years.
If I can put my name anywhere near these gentlemen that you've just mentioned, I'll be a very happy man in retiring. And especially when I get this $1 million, I'll be the only guy, or one of the only world champions, apart from Bisping, that comes from the UK, really.
Yes, I'd love to see that. Always like my UK brethren. With my name Colin, it's a name that's not unusual or peculiar where you are. Here in the United States, people don't quite get it.
That is true.
Yeah, they think I'm saying Rollin or Tollin or something like that.
Yeah. That's a really English name.
Yep, absolutely. So tell us a little bit more about yourself, man. What motivates you to fight, and do you think this was always meant for you to do, or were you an athlete that was talented in other sports as well?
Well, I grew up playing soccer. Soccer was my original sport. I was very good at it, just not good enough. As you can imagine, it's very competitive in the UK for soccer.
Yes.
So I kind of had a choice. Do I follow this path with soccer and have a small chance, or I found I had natural range, natural timing with MMA, and I just thought I can really go with this. And back then, no one even knew what MMA was. It was in people like sports halls. That's where I was fighting in the beginning, and people didn't have a clue what was going on. And to watch it go from that to mainstream, it's been fantastic, and I'm loving the wave.
Absolutely. And you had a fight in the UFC, as you mentioned. You were in the reality show, The Ultimate Fighter. You were in ACB. You were in Bama. You never fought in Cage Warriors, though, did you? That's the big show over there. I'm sure you have some mates over there that fight in Cage Warriors, right?
Yeah, that was one that I never did. I was always with Bama, and Bama and Cage Warriors kind of had this little thing going on, so I was always on the other side.
Absolutely. Are you friendly with any British fighters that people may have heard of?
Yeah, I know Leon Edwards, I know Darren Till, I know all the top UK guys. We all know each other. We all respect each other, and we all cheer each other on.
Absolutely. Yeah, Leon Edwards is a very talented guy. That was an interesting fight with Nate Diaz. I think many people were confident Leon would win, and he certainly did, although Nate came back toward the end. How far do you think Leon can go in the UFC? All the way to the top?
Yeah, I think he can beat Usman. I think that's his last loss many years ago. Leon's got a lot better, and it's all about timing. I think Leon can get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. Very talented guy. So, what is the life of a fighter like? I know that once you have that $1 million, your life is going to be a bit different, you know. But as of now, I mean, one thing I found is that it seems like on the internet, people will always post where fighters are out at clubs or getting into a little bit of a brawl or acting up, right? But I've heard that many fighters don't want to go and tempt fate as far as getting into trouble by going out to bars or pubs or clubs. What's your thought, and how do you handle social life going out and such?
I don't really have a social life right now. I've been fighting so much back to back over the last couple of years that social life don't really exist for me, but I'm okay with that. You know, I'm chasing a dream, I'm chasing a journey, and I'll see all that after fighting, not a problem.
Absolutely. Are you a single man, or are you married and have any kids?
I'm at a complicated stage right now, let's put it that way.
A couple what stage?
Complicated.
I got you. Fair enough. I won't pursue it from there. But so a lot of people cheering for you. You're in great shape. Let me ask you about the diet and the weight cutting. These are two of the hardest things that I think a lot of people don't know. In fact, many fighters say the weight cutting, the diet, which I guess are also tied in and similar, are sometimes even harder than showing up and fighting. What's your thought on that and experience as far as weight cutting? I know a lot of people that were raised in the United States in the wrestling curriculum are used to it. I don't think a lot of Brits were raised in a freestyle or Greco-Roman wrestling. You know, so how did you feel, and what's been your experience, and how you deal with the weight cutting and diet?
I mean, I'm not too big for featherweight. I mean, there's guys that are a lot bigger than me. I've got the weight cut down in over 30 contests. I've never missed weight. I've never been close to missing weight. I've got it dialed in. I'm an extreme professional. I never let it get in the way of my performance. So yeah, I've got it down right now.
Excellent. That's very important. When someone misses weight, I know nobody is happy when another fighter misses weight, but I know some fighters are just absolutely disgusted with another fighter who does that, and other fighters understand that it can happen. What's your feeling on that?
I don't really have an opinion on it. If you miss, I just look at you as a pussy, really. I just think you didn't want to make weight, you know. I do lose respect for the person.
Right.
I do lose respect for the person. You've not had your camp in order. You're not prepared properly, and you're cheating in my eyes.
Yes.
And I put weight missers in the same category as steroid users.
Yep.
Just cheaters. The cheaters, they're everywhere. They're rife in the sport.
Absolutely. What's the ruling on that in the PFL, and does it matter if it's in the playoffs or the regular season? Do you know?
I think you get -1 point if you miss weight, I think.
And then if it's in the playoffs, I would imagine perhaps you can't continue even if you win, or I wonder what the ruling on that.
Oh, that's an interesting one. You got me on that. I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see. I don't think it's happened very much in the PFL, especially in the playoffs, I would imagine.
Yeah.
How do you feel about the playoff situation? Because this is kind of similar to other league sports like soccer as they call football in Great Britain, and then all the American sports, basketball, hockey, football. I think it's quite a good thing because you're actually earning your way to your next fight and earning your way to participate and go toward the championship. I'm sure you like that a lot, huh?
I love it. I just love being active. This is what I signed up for. I want to be fighting every weekend if I can. You know what I mean? I'm training hard all day, my whole life. Let's go. Let's keep fighting. I don't want to wait 6 months in between fights. I really don't.
Absolutely, because I think you are in your prime at 31. I would imagine you're right in your physical prime. I'm sure you probably never felt better. Am I right?
Exactly.
What's the venue or location where this next fight is going to be on August 27th?
It's in Miami.
Excellent. Have you had experience ever being in the state of Florida?
I've been to Florida before, yeah, many years ago.
Yeah. Temperature is a bit similar to Nevada and California, just a bit more humid. And
that's good.
Yeah.
That's good. I'm getting ready then.
Yes, absolutely. Not as dry, but that would be a lot of fun, and you've got a great opponent coming up. Do you have any goals or thoughts or any deadlines on your career? I know that George St. Pierre, GSP, had mentioned he didn't want to be fighting in a cage when he was in his 40s because to him that seemed ridiculous, although now he's in his 40s. And you know, people are talking about him coming back. Do you have a deadline in which you feel you would want to be no longer in this game?
I don't want to put a number on it, an age on it. Whenever I feel like I can't compete in the gym anymore, that's when it's time to hang it up, and I've got good people around me that will let me know that.
Makes sense. And do you think you're going to be trying to transition into something like coaching or having your own gym, or do you think you'd like to stay involved after your fighting is over, or do you think you'd perhaps rather just take money that you've earned, hopefully a lot of it, and get into different business ventures, or maybe even both?
All I'm thinking about is August 27th, Movlid Habalayev. I don't care about what happens before or after that. Right now, that is the goal.
I like that. It makes sense. And what motivates you most to fight and to succeed?
World title. That's what motivates me. That's it. Forget the money, forget the fame, forget the women, forget the autographs. I want to be a world champion, and I'm 2 fights away, and someone's going to have to kill me in there.
Absolutely. When you get the $1 million, do you have any plans? Is any amount earmarked for a house or a new car or starting a small business or perhaps investing in stocks or Bitcoin or anything like this?
No plans. 2 fights at a time.
Makes sense. Absolutely. Any predictions on how the fight is going to end with Mr. Movlid, and his last name is, those Russian names are always so tough. I'm having my producer pick it up. There it is. Movlid Khaybulaev. Do you ever make predictions? And if so, any thoughts?
No predictions. Just tune in. Brendan Loughnane is going to be on form. Movlid's going to be on form. Main event, Miami, Florida. Let's go.
Absolutely. Well, I can't wait to see it. Brendan Loughnane, I'm so excited to watch you fight, man. I really appreciate it. Love to have my brothers from the UK on here, and really thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to chat with us here on the MMA Power Hour.
Thank you, brother. Take care.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. And that was Mr. Brendan Loughnane from England. He's training in Vegas. He's training in California, different places. Currently in Las Vegas, so he's got a little bit of a tan there.
Well, I don't know if I'd call that a tan.
A little bit of a burn press. It's tough. Many of the British are quite pale, and they don't get a lot of sun there.
They turn into tomatoes.
Yeah, but
I'm kind of like that too. So
yeah.
That's why I have to laugh. I wear hats around everywhere, even though I have all this. And you've seen it. It's either I've got really long lion's mane hair,
yeah.
or I'm wearing a hat.
Without a doubt. I used
it.
to tan really well when I was younger, but not as much now, but I don't try as much now. But it seems like he said he loves the sun. He's loving the sun, so he's getting used to it, you know. And good dude, super talented guy. I mean, look at that record, 21-3.
I know, it's insane, right?
And I think his last loss was a split decision or something, I think. Where is it? Yeah. Literally, were it not for that split decision loss, and then his loss before that was a split decision. And then his only other loss before that was in his second year ever competing. So this dude really has never been dominated or owned in a fight. Literally, in his 6th fight against a tough guy, he lost in his UFC fight, and then his other 2 losses were split decisions. So instead of 23 or 22-3, this guy could literally be 24-1. And either way, it's impressive.
I mean, that was in his early 20s when he took that, that loss. It was,
he was like 22.
22 years old.
Yeah, and Mike Wilkinson is a tough Brit there. And that was his one UFC fight. It's weird because it seems like the UFC hasn't given him really a super fair shake. They booted him.
Probably mostly because of that loss. That probably had a lot of an impact.
Yeah, even though usually people get a
that
3-fight contract.
Yeah, and he got that second. Well, this was back in early.
Yeah, you didn't always get that back then. Sometimes they say we're bringing.
I'm going to call it early days. It was still kind of, depending on who you talk to.
Yeah. But either way, he's a killer, and I'll tell you what, though, going up against one of those Dagestanis, it's going to be war. I mean, I think the reality is this: unless you're someone like even I guess a Justin Gaethje, although Gaethje got out grappled by Habib, but unless you're someone like a Daniel Cormier or just someone with elite wrestling skills, it's going to be hard for you to out grapple one of the guys from Dagestan. However, if you can kind of hold your own, and if your striking is a lot better, and you could just keep putting the heat on them, anyone can be taken out. Anyone. In fact, in the fight with Islam Makhachev and Thiago Moises this last week, although I definitely picked Makhachev to win, I knew Moises was pretty dangerous. He never had Islam in trouble, but he threw some heat on him. He threw a few really hard kicks to the body and was throwing a bunch of stuff to the head, not really catching a lot of it, but anyone can be hurt, and if Loughnane can just land some bombs on his opponent from Dagestan, he can take him out. Anyone can be taken out.
Of course.
You hit him on the sweet spot. The guys from Dagestan.
This is going to be one to watch for sure.
It's going to be amazing.
I'm going to be tuning in.
Yeah,
so
me too.
Before we get into anything, you guys that are tuning in, you're absolutely amazing. I see a lot of you over there on Facebook and YouTube and Twitter and Twitch, and I don't see the count on Fight TV, but I'm pretty sure that's absolutely massive, like it is every week. You guys are absolutely all amazing. Make sure to head on over to our social media pages that you're not on right now. If you're on one of them, go to @MMA Power Hour. Also, make sure to go over to MMAPowerHour.com. Get signed up for the mail list. For those of you that weren't here at the beginning of the show as well, there is just announced today actually an alternative commentary this Friday for BKFC 19 with Paige Van Zandt versus Rachel Ostovich.
Yep.
You can go ahead and tune in and drink and watch with Chuck Liddell and the Drinking Bros.
Exactly. Drink responsibly. Well, if you're in your living room, I guess you don't have to do. But I still recommend
stay in your living room if you're going to be there watching that fight on that pay-per-view. It's just a Fight TV, FITE.tv, and majority of you are probably watching over there anyways. But you guys are all absolutely amazing, and I'm going to go ahead and throw something out. I got something on good authority. Some rumors. Actually, I've got to be careful here.
The rumor mill section, yes. Dr. Roorda may want to back off.
I'm going to back off. Withhold. We'll just say keep your eyes and ears peeled for the next Silva boxing match. That's all I'm going to say.
I think I know who you mean. They're kind of
you don't.
It. I don't.
You
know.
don't.
Not even who they were teasing.
I can't even tell you, buddy. But
well, it's not. Gonna
I got some good inside information. I'm just going to tell you that.
It's not. Hopefully, it's not me fighting Silva. Is it? It isn't, right?
It might be me. That might be the whole thing.
Right. Yeah. I have a friend, Mark. You're probably watching. Mark always comes up with great stuff. Like he'll say, "Guess what?" He'll say, Bellator is making an adjustment, and Michael Venom Page, MVP, needs someone to fight quick. So, Colin, I volunteered you, and they're setting it up right now. And I go, oh boy, that's just great. Who do I talk to before I die in that fight? How do I say make my arrangements for my little
MVP and Mr. Scappa?
Yeah, that would be tough. That would be a bad matchup for me. But then against any top MMA fighter,
for you,
yeah, bad matchup, bad. But anyway, MVP is such a tough guy. It'd be interesting to see him get his hands back on the one man to beat him, which was Douglas Lima, or see him in the UFC. I was watching an interview also with Patricio Pitbull, who's going to be facing AJ McKee on July 31st, defending his title as the final fight of that Bellator featherweight tournament. And Pitbull was saying he'll put up $1 million, he and his camp, to go up against Alex Volkanovski, the UFC featherweight champion. They were talking to Ariel, and I mean it's probably never going to happen. I just think, like UFC have said, why should we co-promote anything with anyone. I mean, it'd be great if it did. Who knows? But I have a feeling by the time the UFC is agreeing to co-promote with Bellator, Patricio Pitbull probably will be long retired. You know, I may not even be alive at that point, you know. But you never know. I hope it happens quicker than that. Although, by the way,
yeah, that would be an exciting one for sure.
It would. And then PFL's got so many great fighters and one championship. Those of you who don't know, there's MMA fights that you can now watch 4 days a week. Starting on Wednesday, One Championship is having an event. I think it's on a slight tape delay because of the time difference over there.
And they're showing they have some world beaters over there.
They have some killers there. We had Adriano Moraes on here. We had Christian Lee on here. We had Arjan Singh Buller on here. All champions, all amazing. And they're on Wednesday night, I think, on WTBS. And they're on just a few-hour tape delay. And it's showing, I think, a majority without any, maybe without any ring entrances, cage entrances. But it's showing all the fights that were held several hours earlier. So nearly live on Wednesdays on TBS. The next day, you have PFL doing fights pretty much exclusively on Thursdays, I think on ESPN. You have Bellator almost always doing fights on Fridays on Showtime, and then of course the UFC on Saturday. So you can be watching a ton.
And the nights that you have a lot of the lower fights, just go to Fight TV. There's always something going on.
Yes, and then on Tuesday there's us. So we're actually preceding 4 nights of live MMA.
Hey, we're kicking it off for everybody during the week. Everybody knows that. That's why everybody's starting to come to us. You guys are actually the best for tuning in every Tuesday.
We thank you so much.
You guys pull other people in. Thank you for the likes, comments, and shares. It means the world. It really does. So, Colin, we are actually ready for our next guest.
About 2-3 minutes early, but
okay. Well,
let's say about a minute. Let's wait about a minute.
Wait about a minute.
By the way,
let's just say here. We just need to set a clock.
Do the clock. Do the countdown there.
You know what I'm gonna do?
Oh.
I'm actually going to get a seconds clock to put up on the screen.
I like that. People like that
animated
kind of thing. That would be very cool. That would be very cool.
Yeah, so that way we can do the countdown and everything. We don't even need to say it.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
You guys probably think that's lame, but
I think it could look good.
There's a lot of fun stuff Colin and I want to do with the show. You see like the graphics going on in the background right now. We're going to do even beyond that, start stepping it up a little bit more.
Yes, with some filters, some fun filters, maybe.
Yeah,
I'd love to
crazy filters that are live, that are based off of everything going on. I mean, we have to integrate our own software. I have to go license that.
Oh man, that's
from
that'd be cool.
The big companies like Snap.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you guys like it if all of a sudden Adam turned into a chipmunk that was eating a carrot or something like that, right? When he was talking, or maybe I turned into a woodchuck.
I thought I already did. I thought that's what was going on.
That's what it is. You thought we arranged that.
Those are some bad mushrooms.
Yeah, that's it, right? It looked like you looked like a chipmunk, or I did. But anyway, but yeah.
Or were they good mushrooms?
It could have been good, man. The magical mushrooms, man.
I mean, I thought I was a chipmunk already before he said that.
I know that feeling. The power of suggestion, right? Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, whenever you're ready, bump. Dr. Adam Roorda, we might as well jump in on him. He should be ready, and we're maybe only a minute early, so a minute is nothing. Let's see if we can get him in.
Boom, boom, boom. Skype dance. Breakdown. Do the Skype dance. Skype dance. Is anything coming of this Skype dance? Come on, guys, dance with us.
Come on, guys. If you're watching, dance. Are you dancing? Let me see. Well, this is odd because we have. Is this the one that
he's online?
Okay, so is this the one that he added us with, or is this another one?
He added us.
He added us from this one. Okay.
Yep.
And he did not answer. Let's. Can we give it one more chance?
Well, we actually called right on time too.
Yeah.
He's calling.
Good phone. Hey, Ray, are you there?
Hey.
Excellent. Great. I appreciate you, my friend. We're live. Let me give you a proper introduction. Ladies and gentlemen, so happy to have this next guest on the show for the first time, joining a group of MMA superstars from the amazing Professional Fighters League, PFL. We are talking about the man they call Brada Boy, Ray Cooper III. Welcome to the show, Ray.
Hey, thanks for having me on. How's it going?
Very well, my friend. How about yourself?
I'm doing all right.
Now, you are fighting in the welterweight division, is that right?
Yes, I am.
Excellent, cool. And we got a couple of people in the featherweight division, and I knew you were up there because I remember the first fight you really impressed me with was that Jake Shields fight. I think Jake Shields had fought your dad years earlier, hadn't he?
Yeah, back in the 90s they fought.
Yeah, and was there either some bad blood or was there some extra importance in that fight when you faced Jake, or was it really nothing like that?
No, it wasn't really no bad blood or anything. He did fight my dad, and back then I thought my dad was everything, and thought he was the best fighter. But yeah, Jake beat him, and Jake went on to beat. I don't. As the list goes on, the guys he beat, the top guys he beat, and it was just a real great opportunity to fight one of the legends in the sport. I used to watch him as a kid too, so there was no bad blood. It was just competition, and yeah.
And then I think you beat Jake a second time in the rematch, didn't you?
Yeah, I beat him twice during the season, the first fight and then in the playoffs.
Yeah, that first time was surprising because I think the first time you beat him, not a lot of people knew who you were. They saw your name, and I think a lot of people said, wait a second, man, that Ray Cooper is still fighting from 15 years ago, right? And then people looked and said, no, that looks like him, but it's not him. And people realized you're, his son. And I think a lot of people thought that was just going to be a gimme fight for Jake Shields. Like Jake would win that fight without too much trouble. And when you won it, I think a lot of people kind of knew who you were. Admittedly, I was one of them. And I'm like, man, this guy's that good. This young kid is that good, So I'm not trying to make your head big, but that was impressive to me. And did you have a lot of confidence going into that fight, or was that the biggest challenge you had ever had leading up to that first fight with Jake?
Yeah, no, I knew I was one of the best fighters in Hawaii and in the world. Just fighting Jake Shields, it was just another fight to me. To get my opportunity to fight on a big stage like PFL. The first year it came out, it was kind of it's kind of new to everybody with this $1 million prize tournament, and everybody thought Jake Shields was gonna win that whole tournament. And I told Ray Seffel I wanted to fight him right off the bat, just to make a statement that I'm here now, and this is my division, and yeah, I just wanted to get myself on the scene and show everybody that I'm a force to be reckoned with.
Absolutely. Was your dad able to give you any advice on Jake Shields or tips?
He did a little, but me and my dad's fighting style is two totally different styles, and yeah, he gave me some tips, but I really didn't worry about anything that Jake had to offer. I just knew what I was capable of, and I showed it that time. I dominated him everywhere the fight went. So there was really no advice that helped me win that fight.
Gotcha. You didn't really need any help in that one. That makes sense. When you were really young, did your dad take you around the fight scenes when he was fighting, or when he had friends fighting? Did you go to like Super Brawl fights and other stuff around Hawaii and meet a lot of people and get kind of a feeling of the atmosphere?
Yeah, when I was young, I attended all the fights, all the Super Bowls. I was a little kid, and from that first time watching my dad fight, back when I was probably 6 or 7, I already knew from then I wanted to fight. And to my dad, that was just a hobby back in the day. It was just a new thing. They just got out of high school. My dad went to college a little while for wrestling, and it was just the next best thing for them to do. But they was working and training at the same time and competing, so it was just a hobby for them. But in my eyes, it was the start of something big that I was gonna do for the rest of my life, and I'm so glad that it's happening now.
Absolutely. Do you ever think what it would have been like if you were fighting back in those days? If your dad was like 2 generations older, and if you were the guy that was born like in the 1960s? What do you think it would have been like? What would have been fun and positive, and what do you think would have been not fun and negative?
Just the way the fights was, the way the fights was back in the day was real brutal, and I grew up watching that. So I think if I was during that time, I would have been up there with the top guys that's up there right now, like the guys that's leaving the UFC or coming on the way, like Dan Henderson and Fedor Emelianenko, all those old guys. and BJ Penn, like those guys, I think I would have been right up that alley, because that's the way I fight, and that's the style I bring to all my fights, and everybody loves it. Everybody loves when finish. Everybody loves the guy that's always coming forward and not point fighting. Like, no, these days these guys, they think that it's a new thing to evolve and do all kinds of stuff, but all in all, it's just you got to train hard, and when you train hard, the fights it's easy, because you're training so hard and you're trying to finish fights, not just win by decision.
Absolutely. There's a lot of Hawaiian fighters that kind of work with each other and that are friendly. I forget who it was that I was talking to, but whoever it was, was a high level fighter, and said a lot of you guys, even in all different leagues, guys from one championship, guys from PFL, guys from UFC in Hawaii, all work out with each other. Can you throw out some names of some fighters we may have heard of that you sometimes train with or frequently train with?
I really don't train with anybody. I train just my brothers, and yeah, that's it. I don't train with anybody. I don't affiliate myself with any schools down here. I just do my own thing, and finding people's styles is not the way I train, and I really don't like any of the styles of any of the gyms that train over here. So yeah, I just nothing disrespectful to any of them. They all get their own thing going, but I just don't train with them or do anything with them.
Understood. Are you friends with any of those guys though, even though you don't train with them?
Yeah, we're cordial, but I really don't hang out with any of them. It's not a thing that I do. I just like to stay home with my family, and yeah.
Makes sense. Were there any fighters from Hawaii other than your dad that you looked up to back in the day when you were younger?
Yeah, one of them is my dad, and my uncle Ronald, Ronald John,
yeah,
and BJ Penn. BJ Penn is probably, other than my dad, one of the most inspirational guys that I would take from and look up to, and he's the number one on my list of favorite fighters, other than my dad.
Yep.
And yeah, BJ is he's just a legend, and the way he brought the fights, that's how I fight too. He came there for just scrap, not play around. Every time he came in there, he was win or lose. He came in there for fight. He can go out in the shield or die trying. So he's one of the main ones.
Absolutely. And I remember even before then, I've been watching this game since when I was really young, right before the first UFC. I had the copy of the press kit for UFC #1. And I remember when the Inoue brothers came in, Ensign Inoue and Egan Inoue, they were kind of like the first Hawaiians that kind of made a name for themselves in MMA. Did you ever meet those guys or have anything to do with them?
Yeah, Ensign and Egan is another two great fighters. Egan, he's on a real, he was a phenomenal grappler and fighter in himself. And Ensign is another one of the tops on my list too. The way he just used to bring that warrior mentality of just he's just gonna be kill or be killed. And yeah, I met him a few times. My dad used to, when he was fighting in Shuro, Ensign used to always bring them in and have them a place for stay for the fights and have a gym for them. So Ensign is a real good friend of my dad's, and yeah, he was an awesome fighter. I used to love watching him fight.
Yeah, absolutely. I watched his fights from when he had his first fight in the UFC against a guy who I think was a 4-time All-American Iowa wrestler. Remember that Royce Alger fight? And then, yep, and there comes Ensign Inoue with Egan in his corner and all these other Hawaiians, and everyone's like, "Oh man, this guy's gonna get slaughtered." And Inoue was like, he right away he was in that. And then from the guard, he started to get the armbar, and the late Jeff Blatnick is like, "Well, I don't think there's anything there." And he goes, "Wait a second, it looks like Royce Alger's in trouble." Yep, he's tapping, right? And Inoue went crazy. Remember that? And Egan Inoue is like leaning over the top of the cage. That was an amazing moment. But yeah, the skill. I also remember when Ensign beat Randy Couture in Japan, right?
Yep, not an armbar.
Yep, and he had his pit bull, I think, running around the ring after that.
His name was Shuto.
Was it?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, killers.
That is cool, man. It's Pitbull and Dave Shuto, right on. So what do you think makes the Hawaiians like fighting so much? It seems like the whole island, all the islands really support the fighters. And what is it that motivates you guys to fight and makes everyone so happy to support, do you think?
I'm not too sure. It's just I'm from the west side of the island, so there's a lot of fights going on the street. So you gotta be able to defend yourself, and it's all about fighting down on the west side of the island. And yeah, that's pretty much where it came from. If you had a problem, you can squash it. You're not gonna go pull a gun or you can go stab somebody. You can go right on outside your guys' house and you can fight it over, and then it's gonna be over, and that's it. We'll fight our problems out, and that was it. And that's how I pretty much where the fighting came from too. Fighting on the streets, you gotta learn to defend yourself, and I think that's just the mentality of the Hawaiian people, and yeah, we just fight it out.
And where do you usually stay, on the Big Island?
No, I'm on Oahu.
On Oahu. Okay, cool. Is there, I never hear people talk too much about Hawaii, and I know a lot of people on the mainland would love to get there that have never been there, but are all the islands kind of a similar feel? I know you have Oahu and the Big Island, and Maui, I think, are the most tourist visited, but then you have the outer islands. You have Molokai and you have Kauai. Is there a difference in those islands as far as like how life is and how the attitudes are?
Yeah, I think Oahu is the most civilized and the most populated. The other islands is not as populated. Maui might be a little, but not as much as Oahu. It's more like country down there in the Big Island, especially in the Big Island. So it's so big, and Maui and Kauai, Molokai. It's all mainly mountains and plenty country living, and it's way more better than this island because we're so populated over here, and there's so much tourists coming in, and just disrespecting everything, and yeah, it's just a real problem in Oahu only, and in Maui too, with all the tourists and stuff.
Yeah. So the real true kind of Hawaii from the past is kind of more shown and lived in the outer islands now, Molokai and Kauai, you would say.
Yeah, I would say so. Molokai, Kauai, and Big Island.
Right, makes sense. Would you ever have any plans to like retire to those places or live in those places?
Yeah, maybe later on. I used to live in Maui before. My dad was working up there, and Maui is a beautiful place. It's so nice and quiet, and there's not as much things going on as Oahu. Maybe later on in life, but right now I'm situated, and my training is all down here. So
makes sense. My brother lived in Hawaii for a while. One of the things he liked is how relaxed the atmosphere is. Like people, well, now it's probably different when you have all the tourists and you have problems, as you're mentioning, because such a crowd and not so much respect. But I think probably the Hawaii in the outer islands and years ago was based on kind of a relaxed feeling. People are not stressing out that you have to get to this place right away, that you have to get to that place. And so it seems like the Hawaiian people are like an easygoing people naturally. And it's kind of funny though how also you guys are warriors and are fighters. How do you explain like that difference in the background of your people being so easygoing and friendly and laid back, and then also having this fighting spirit to fight?
Not too sure. We just the mentality why we show aloha to everybody, but sometimes people take that for granted, and when you take that for granted, then what we say back here, you can get cracks, and
right,
you can be disrespectful, then we're gonna be disrespectful right back. So yeah, it's real laid back, but there's things that you shouldn't do and you should do, and yeah, but it's all in all, the white people, we show everybody aloha that shows us aloha, but if you disrespect, then you can get lickings, and that's pretty much the sum of it.
It makes sense. You can kind of be both. You can be laid back and that aloha spirit, that Hawaii, that feel, but then, you know, if someone wants to try to step on you or disrespect that, then, right, that's when the teeth come out, right, as they say.
Yeah, yeah.
That makes sense. So, Ray, do you have any goals that you want to achieve? Am I wrong? Have you won? Did you win a season tournament already, or are you looking to try to win your first playoffs in the PFL?
Yeah, I won a season tournament already. I won the $1 million tournament. This is my second. Well, actually, I've been in the finals twice already. I lost the first year, came back, I won the second year, and then I'm in the semifinals for the third year in a row. And,
nice.
Yeah.
And that must have been a good feeling winning that $1 million, huh?
Yeah, it was good.
Absolutely, because it's expensive in Hawaii. I mean, I live in Los Angeles, and I think Hawaii, California, and New York are the most expensive places to live. And a lot of people around the country don't realize that, man. It's everything costs so much. And I know that's your home, and not that $1 million means that you have like 100 million or anything, but I think now you can manage it over there. But was there ever any thought before winning that tournament and making that money that people were saying, man, it's so expensive in Hawaii, you got to move to some place like Nebraska, or you got to move to some place like Detroit? You know, did you ever have any thought that you could go somewhere in the mainland where it's like much less expensive to live?
No, I wouldn't change it for anything. My family's here, everything's here. I grew up here, and yeah, I'm never gonna leave this island. What we're going to do is kick out all these corrupt politicians in our government that is taking plenty of money from our people and making it hard to live down here. It's not because it's so expensive, because these Democrats and all these politicians is rocketing everything.
Yeah.
And all the locals will make this one tourist place. So one thing we're trying to do, and I hope we can get to doing that, and yeah, hopefully one day I can run for governor and kick all these bastards out.
I'm with you. I agree 100%. We have a similar situation with the Democratic leadership here in California, running everything down into the garbage. And yeah, no, I'm with you 100% on that, brother. 100%. You know, it'd be great to see you, you know, do well, and then to be a governor there. That would be awesome. So let's get on to your fight, man. August 13th at the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel in Hollywood, Florida. Similar weather to Hawaii with the heat and the humidity, right? So you almost can feel at home in Florida, I'm sure. And you got Rory McDonald. And is this going to be his first fight in the PFL, or did he already have one? Do you know?
Yeah, he had two fights already.
Okay.
We fight on night every time.
All right. What do you think of this matchup? This is a very experienced guy. I think you're the young dog in this one. He's the old dog. Canadian guy. You know, he's a tough dude, 31 years old, and let's see, his last two fights, if we look, he did have a win over Curtis Millender. He did barely lose a split decision to Gleison Tebow, and then he did lose to Douglas Lima over in Bellator. What's your thought of where Rory is in his career now, and how you feel that fight, that matchup is, and what's going to happen?
I really don't know about his career, or I know that of his career, it's unstacked on his record, and he has a lot of wins over a lot of good people. And yeah, I just I don't think he's anything for me. I'm gonna do whatever I want to him. My wrestling is way better than his. I can fight anywhere, and yeah, he's just another guy in my way for getting my defending this title that I won a year ago, and yeah, he's just in the way, and I'm gonna run him over and get
in the finals. Absolutely. And I would think you'd be the favorite. He's had a lot of damage to his nose, and if he can't out wrestle you, then if you're a better striker, he's probably in some trouble. But that would be another good victory for you. And then after that, you're going to face one of two guys. Who might they be?
João Zeferino and Magomed Karamov is the other two semifinalists on the other side.
Who do you think is going to win that fight?
I'm not too sure. They both is good fighters. The Russian guy Magomed, he won the 2018 tournament. That's who I lost to in the finals. So it would be good to get my rematch back. But I'm not too sure. They both is good. I can be ready for both of them.
Absolutely. I'm going to ask my producer, click on Ray Cooper III, would you, Dr. Adam Roorda? Let's take a look. All right, so you're 28 years old, man. Still, like I would say, maybe just barely starting your prime right now. So you're in a really good spot, and your team, the Lion of Judah. I remember your dad's team was Jesus is Lord team, right?
Yeah.
Is the Lion of Judah that same team, just with a change of names, or does it have nothing to do with your dad's team?
It has nothing to do with them. It's a totally different thing.
Gotcha. Who are some of the guys on the Lion of Judah team? Anybody that's competing as a pro, or not really?
No, it's just my three brothers that train with me.
Nice. And they're working to help you focus mostly on your career. Is that right?
Yeah, and I helped them do their career. Two of my brothers is fighting too. They both have three. Oh, one of them has 2 amateur fights, the other one has 3, and they're looking to turn pro pretty soon. So yeah,
nice. We got to look out for them. And you think you'd want them to be in the PFL with you, or does it not really matter?
Matter wherever it
makes sense. Any long-term goals, Ray? I know you did mention possibly being the governor in Hawaii, which would be amazing. Do they have the same system, though, where each island has a mayor like we do in the States, or how does that work?
Yeah, everybody has their own, what do you call it?
Mayor, right?
Their own system, yeah.
So do you think you'd want to maybe be the mayor first of Oahu, or you would want to maybe try to skip that and go right to governor?
I'll probably skip that and go right to governor.
Nice. I love that. And if you get well known enough, people get behind you. I'd love to see that, man, because in politics, when you have all these guys that are career politicians, man, it just doesn't seem like a lot of them are honest. It seems like most of them, their whole goal is to have a long career, making a lot of money, and having a chance to dip into the budget when they need money and not doing anything for the people. So I think having someone like yourself who has been a fighter, who didn't have that goal to be a politician all their life, I think people would really trust that. I mean, we've seen it in Jesse Ventura in Minnesota. We've seen it in Arnold Schwarzenegger in California. And then in Donald Trump, you know, when he was there, people voted for someone they knew and they thought wasn't a politician. So I think that would be awesome for you, and I'm sure you're probably going to want to wait until your MMA career is over, or do you think that during your MMA career you might look into politics as well?
Yeah, I'm not a really big politics guy. It's just our leaders now is just messing up everything, especially for our kids. And I get kids now, and just thinking of the future of what it's going to look like later on, and it's not looking good, and I don't want that for my kids. So, and I'm pretty much on a pretty big stage that where a lot of people is watching, and a lot of people get behind guys that fight for what they want and fight for freedom. You know what I mean? So, and another guy too, Manny Pacquiao too. He's not a big inspiration that I take from. He's been the governor of freaking the Philippines.
That's right. That's right.
He's another animal, and he helped out his country, and he's still doing everything he can for his people. So yeah, later on in life, probably maybe pretty soon, I don't know. We'll see how things go, but that's another aspiration of mine.
Absolutely. When you mention kids, is this in the future, or do you have kids now?
Yeah, I have 5 kids.
That's awesome. It's a big family. Would you be okay if your kids became fighters? Would you like to see it, or would you discourage it?
It depends. It depends what they want to do, but they're for sure gonna wrestle, because wrestling is kind of my start. I wrestled when I was young, and yeah.
Absolutely. Do you have, how many boys and how many girls do you have?
I have 2 girls and 3 boys. And
if the girls wanted to be fighters, would you be just as happy with that, or not really?
Yeah, I would. They're already wanting to fight and stuff, but they gotta wrestle first and get to that first.
Absolutely. Well, awesome, man. Well, I really appreciate you, Ray Boy Cooper. You are fighting Rory McDonald on August 13th in the semifinals of the PFL, which means you win that. You have one more to win the tournament. The second time you've already won $1 million tournament. Congratulations on that. Look forward to seeing you do what you do, man, and grab that second $1 million starting out with Rory McDonald, man. I love what you say. I know we're on the same page politically with that crap that's going on, and I'd like to see you make it happen for Hawaii. It's a beautiful place and wonderful people there, and I think they deserve better than what they're getting right now. So with you, and I'm glad that we had you here speaking your piece. So keep doing what you're doing, man. Thank you so much for joining us here on the MMA Power Hour.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And aloha.
Aloha. Take care, brother. All right, and that was Ray Boy Cooper. Really good guy. I like what he has to say. I mean, it's totally cool that he did give his political message and passionate as it was.
I'm just like, Colin.
Yeah, we're not a super political show, but the bottom line is him saying what he wanted to say.
No, he can.
He can.
He can say whatever.
And, and the bottom line is I don't hit anyone over the head with my thoughts, but, I basically...
Yeah, we do every now and then. We get editorial.
Just a
hey, it is what it is.
Yep.
We like to have fun. We hope you guys have fun as well. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. We do have another guest coming here in a moment. Colin, I actually have been like double dosing on this Nessa's hemp.
Oh, wow. That's why you feel so good.
And I feel amazing. Next level amazing.
Nice.
So everybody interested in CBD products out there, there is a product called CBDA, which is a cold pressed version of it, and it actually works a little better. And you want to find a nice, fully organic and clean hemp oil. In this case, Nessa's hemp, full spectrum hemp oil is the best on the market. Go ahead and make sure to go over to mmaph.nessashemp.com. You get a nice big fat discount, and you get to try their product. It is a little on the pricier side compared to a lot of other products, but you pay what you get for.
Absolutely. Good, fully optimized, full spectrum stuff, a big fat product, and you can smoke a fatty once you get the ingredients. No, I think mostly they're having the tinctures.
Talking to smoking a fatty, I probably will here in the next couple days.
Yeah, absolutely.
And soon I've got to fly out to well, actually, everybody make sure you're tuning in these next few weeks, because I'm going to have to take about 5 to 6 weeks off here coming up. I do have some medical stuff, family medical stuff I have to go tend to in the Midwest. So we may do some shows, but stay tuned. Definitely tune in this next week, because I'm not going to be gone this next week.
No, we're here definitely with a good show.
We have a bunch of good shows coming up. Stay tuned in every single week. Hit us up on all the platforms that we're on. Search for us on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. We're out there. It's at MMA Power Hour for most platforms. Someone in the search bar just put in MMA Power Hour.
Yep, absolutely. And we are about 7 minutes away from our next guest. Let me give him a quick reminder, and then we can keep on chatting here. And hope you guys have enjoyed the show so far. Some really, two really good guests. With Brendan Loughnane, first from the PFL, and Ray Boy Cooper from the PFL as well. Great people there. Want to thank, of course, each of those gentlemen for their appearance, as well as the awesome PR woman over there, Tawny Cox. She is awesome. Tawny, you rock. And really appreciate you a lot. They're working so hard in the PFL. They just have a good vibe, don't you think, Adam? Like, everyone, I think, there is wanting to create a great, successful organization. The fighters are happy, and I think people are being treated well there. And
I mean, listen, they're the fastest growing fight organization right now.
Yes.
We've seen it go back and forth between the I'm going to call them the big four. You've got UFC, which has been number one, held that ground for a while, starting to lose ground to the PFL, but ONE FC has actually globally, they've been number one for a while. It's going to be hard to pass them up because they have all of China.
Right, no longer ONE FC, but one championship.
One championship, and Bellator. You've got Bellator as well.
Yep.
And I love the guys over at Bellator. They're really trying stuff too, but I have to say, PFL's making all the moves.
Yeah, they're moving. They're not only they normally do Thursday, but they're doing some events on Friday now. They're mixing it up.
Yeah, but let's get into the
ESPN.
nitty gritty. I know some things, inside scoop on business. PFL, I love you guys, but I've got to disclose some of this. So they paid their way into ESPN. They're doing a little bit of a lot. It's clear they're doing a loss leader, and what that means is that they are intentionally taking a loss on some of these events here over the next little while to get that presence. And it makes sense. That's what you've got to do. I mean, in a lot of ways, Lorenzo did that with the UFC and dumped
days,
millions upon millions upon millions of dollars
and
into
it really paid off.
UFC, and it really paid off.
Absolutely.
And PFL is wise enough to know that that's what they've got to do. Their investors are just coming in right now. You've got big names like Wiz Khalifa jumping on board with PFL. So they know what they're doing, and I think this league formatting with playoffs is absolutely brilliant.
Yes.
I think it's the way to do it. It's something we have not really seen much of in combat sports.
No, virtually not at all, except for when the PFL. No, when the not PFL, but what was that team fighting thing? The IFL. It was
the IFL.
Since the IFL, and that was team fighting, which was different. But yeah, you earned your way to getting to the finals and being the champion. And I like that. And not only that, but that $1 million prize is awesome. You know what I mean?
Now, one thing I have heard about that is really interesting, somebody threw this out. I'm not going to say which organization, but I've been speaking with a lot of promoters. Mm-hmm. There is one throwing around the idea of a triangle ring with limited MMA moves allowed, and centered around boxing, though.
Okay, because I was thinking that GSP was involved in like this combat karate or something. I don't think that's that, though. But this is interesting. A triangle with limited, so it'd be like a modified rule sport.
I'm going to say this. GSP's name was dropped in that same conversation.
Yeah.
So
it could be.
That's probably where the idea came from. But there's a lot of different ideas floating around right now. PFL may not be able to hold the ground forever, but seeing 30% in the last 2 quarters of not year over year, quarter over quarter growth. It's insane. That is, they're at $400 million as of 2 months ago, and it was 4 months before that they were valued at $300 million. So that tells me in 2 more months they're going to be worth how much, boys and girls? Probably about 600,000 or 600 million.
Yeah,
and that says in the next year they're worth as much as UFC.
That's amazing.
As far as selling value.
Right.
I'm not talking about how much income and generation is coming in or anything like that, but selling value. And revenues, it can be sky high real fast. And, PFL also, they're not using any pay-per-view.
No, well, nobody is except for the UFC. I think Bellator attempted a couple of pay-per-views in the past years and just decided against that. And as of now, and that's great because not everyone has $50 or $60 even once a month to be able to pay for a pay-per-view.
Even when I have it, I don't have it. So I mean, listen, it's a lot of money to spend. Fortunately, we work this, so we have ways to get a hold of the events. And I'm not talking about pirating, guys.
Definitely,
it's actually speaking with organizations. We work with them. But so the reality is right now, with them not doing these pay-per-views and still being able to reach the value of what UFC is, we're really looking at them surpassing them in the next couple of years if Dana's not careful. And with Conor breaking his ankle or his leg and shin, it just really changes the game up, man.
It does.
As soon as that leg broke, I was just like, what the heck?
Definitely. On that note, Doc, I want to let you know we're only a minute away from
I know we are. I know we are. I was just trying to carry it for the next 30 seconds.
I appreciate that. I really do. And I appreciate that contribution. And you're right. Very good points you made. But yeah, PFL, they're hustling. And Tawny Cox doing a great job over there. And props to you. Thank you so much. You're awesome.
Hustling.
So our 2 PFL guests down. We have our final guest of the night, a guest from the UFC top 20, I'm pretty sure, or if not, very close to it. And you are about to hear from him in the featherweight division. He's got a big fight coming up on this Saturday, the 24th. coming up this Saturday, the 24th. That's awesome. I didn't even realize we're catching him just 4 days in advance. Wednesday.
Skype dance. Boom, boom, boom. Boom, boom, boom. Skype dance.
Hey, Darrick, can you hear me?
Hold on one second.
No problem at all. There you go. Beautiful. As long as you can see yourself, you're good. And we're going to give you a proper introduction since we are already live. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'm super excited to have this next guest on the show for the very first time. He joins a list of contenders and champions from the UFC. And the man is killing it with a huge fight coming up on the 24th. We'd like to welcome to the show UFC featherweight contender Darrick Minner. Welcome to the show, Darrick.
Thanks for having me, guys.
My pleasure. And you fight out of Glory MMA, some amazing people there. We've spoke with James Krause numerous times on the show, as well as Zach Cummings, and I think a couple other people who whose name I'm forgetting now, but you've got some amazing people there. You've got a fight coming up here this Saturday against Darren Elkins, man. That guy's like kind of like the Terminator, kind of like Rocky, but you're an even younger and looks like more talented Terminator, so I'm sure you're up for the task. Who's been helping you for this camp? If you want to tell us anything that's a secret, obviously you don't have to tell us, but whatever you want to, let us know who's been working with you on this camp and what you've been working on.
Man, just I've been down at Glory. Training partners there's lots of them, especially around our weight, and obviously we're led by James Krause. The coaches there are James Krause, Jason High, Austin Ford, Grant Dawson. Been working a lot with Grant, Kevin Kroom, Cole Smith. Man, God, dude, every time this question gets answered, I just like draw a blank of all my training partners.
Right,
like, it's
right.
crazy. Like it's insane.
Totally.
That's the one question that I like always struggle with. There's a bunch of up and comers like Isaac Bulgarian, Mo. I don't know how to pronounce his last name, and then guys like God dang it.
Tons of guys. You've thrown out a bunch. It's a bunch of killers there, pretty much.
I mean, we got lots of guys in there, and it's just a room full of killers.
Without a doubt. And iron sharpens iron. It really does make a difference, doesn't it? Having high level guys there to train with every day.
Yeah, man. I used to go away for camps, but it'd only be like 4 weeks was what I did with my Contender Series fight. But it was like I never got that consistent training with that high level of guys. And now I go down there. I'm there 2 to 3 days a week, even when I'm not in camp. So it's man, it's improved my game so much. And for me I had when I went down there, I had just had my UFC debut against Grant Dawson, and man, it's just crazy how much I feel like I've improved even with 30 some fights. It's crazy.
Yeah, let me ask you about that, because a lot of people see that happening, but a lot of fans don't really kind of understand what happens to make the change, because I've even seen the announcers say, man, Darrick Minner is just killing it since being over at Glory. And can you explain, I mean, other than maybe having better guys to train with, what is it about going to a place with all these great guys and amazing coaches like James Krause? What is it that can up the game of a guy who's already experienced and who already gets it, at least in your case? What's made the difference?
The biggest thing was me and James talked about it all the time. It's just organizing my game. There was no organization to how I fought and and doing specific things, and just stretching my 5 minutes. Because I have a lot of first round finishes. I had that narrative as first round or bust, but
right.
That was just because. So we stretched that 5 minutes into 15 minutes now. And, my fight IQ is the biggest thing that I think I'm improving. James Krause is a mastermind, man. It's insane how much knowledge and how smart the dude is about the game. And yeah, it's working well for me for sure.
Absolutely. And your cardio looks amazing. Your conditioning is amazing. Let us know a little bit about your background. Everyone's got a different story, but especially athletic background. We know there's guys who their whole thing was wrestling from junior high or elementary and junior high and high school, and only after that did they learn striking. There's other guys who never did any wrestling. They started with karate, and then they were doing wrestling and then jiu-jitsu. How did it go for you? Take us back to what you did first and what the progression of these fighting styles were for you.
So I've wrestled my whole life. Just grew up Nebraska wrestler, all the way through high school. I wrestled 1 year in college, and then after that, yeah, man, I pretty much randomly took a fight. Didn't know anything besides how to wrestle. Never trained ever, and it was on a week's notice. Drove up to South Dakota, fought, won by armbar. I didn't even know what the hell an armbar was, and then. Yeah, man, I ended up falling in love with the sport, and that moment I was like, this is what I want to do for the rest of my life. And here we are 53 fights later, and yeah.
Absolutely amazing. And the wrestling obviously is more similar to jiu-jitsu than striking. Striking doesn't really have anything to do with wrestling, although it does seem like a lot of guys with a wrestling background can generate some power, but it still doesn't really help a lot with technique and the learning of striking, whereas jiu-jitsu it does. Did you find that the jiu-jitsu was kind of like a really easy transition because of your wrestling, or not so much?
Yeah. I mean, wrestling is obviously the best base for MMA. I mean, It speaks for itself by looking at all the champions and all the good, everybody. But yeah, I mean, jiu-jitsu was great, and I just found jiu-jitsu like. That's what I feel like my front headlock game and like my jiu-jitsu came along so well because I started after I took that first fight, I started in like a garage, and we had there was only like 6 or 7 of us that trained in a garage, and they were all way bigger than me. And so I had to learn how to do something, and not just get beat up. So I think that's where, I just had a really good foundations coach, and then all of a sudden, I found Premier Combat Center, and then I started working with those guys, and here we are.
And what city and state were you born and raised? You're from Missouri?
I'm from Nebraska City, Nebraska.
That's right.
And I currently live in Papillion, Nebraska, and I just make the drive down, especially during fight camp. I make the drive down on Monday and come home on Friday or Saturday.
Very cool. There's been a few fighting stars in the UFC from Nebraska. Are you acquainted with any of them or friends with any of them? I'm acquainted with all those guys. The Ellenberger brothers are really close to me. Anthony Smith, actually, is crazy enough. Me and him are from the same small town of 7,000 people, and we grew up together. We went to the same middle school, high school, hung out together all through school and all through the early days of my pro career and, his career. We cornered each other, and then, we kind of just, he started training in other gyms, and we're not as close as we used to be, but yeah. Very cool. So talk about striking. That was something that, in fact, I'm from Michigan, and my producer and co-host here is from Iowa and also spent several years in Missouri. Us Midwesterners, we almost all had punching bags in our parents' house, right, when we were young, right? So I'm sure you did a little bit of punching and striking then, and that's at least one advantage that a guy like you would have over someone from like Brazil or Japan. Most people in Brazil or Japan didn't necessarily grow up with a punching bag in their house. But did you feel kind of from just punching and stuff as a kid that it was somewhat natural for you when you started to really focus on striking, or was it really a hard thing for you to learn and feel comfortable with?
Well, I always knew that, I actually did, when I was little, I did maybe 3 months of a taekwondo, and I just always knew I remember one time I punched my dad, and my dad was like, "God dang, it's hard." I overheard him. He didn't want to tell me that, obviously.
Right.
And then once I started striking at a gym, when I moved up to Premier Combat Center in Omaha, I started striking, and I was I kept telling my coach, man, I am never gonna kick. I'm just punching to take people down. Like that's my goal, you know. And now everything's coming together. And the cool thing about me is like I've really haven't had a chance to showcase really what I can do on the feet. And yeah, man, I'm really excited. I think this fight maybe happened to bring that out, and we'll see what happens. So.
Without a doubt. And this is a really interesting opponent, man. This guy's been around forever. You've had about as many fights as him. Actually, you've had
more fights.
Yeah, you had 3 more fights than him. He's had more UFC fights, though. He's been in the UFC for a long time. This guy, like, I remember looking back on one of the fights. I think I forgot the guy's name. I know it was a guy from Europe, I think, who was killing it. And he was just literally beating Elkins to a pulp. I think it was Mirsad Bektik, I think.
Yeah.
Right?
Mirsad's from Lincoln, Nebraska, too.
Oh, you're kidding.
He's in Nebraska, but he went to high school in Lincoln, Nebraska, and trained in Omaha a lot, too, before he moved to the American Top Team back in the day.
Wow, I did not know that. Well, he's a double tough guy, and he was putting the beat down on Darren Elkins, and then Elkins, like a zombie, was just like, all of a sudden, it was like in pro wrestling when Hulk Hogan would be knocked down and little by little he'd start standing up slowly and shaking his fist, right? It was like, it was like Elkins just came back through the fire, and he's a little bit older now. He did get a little beat down put on him in a few fights and not come back, but the last one he kind of came back. And so what do you think of a guy like that? I'm sure you always want to prepare for the best guy, even if he isn't what he was 5 years ago. He's still a veteran. I think he's 37. Dr. Adam Roorda, can I see that on Darren Elkins? And Darren Elkins is 37 years old. And then let's see Darrick here. Darrick, you are, go over the other one there. Do Darrick.
31.
31. Okay, so you're right in your prime, and he's a bit past his prime. Do you have to go in there expecting that he's going to be as good as he was 5 years ago, or do you go in there realizing that he's going to be tough, but maybe he is what he is right now?
Man, it is. I prepared, and I'm prepared for the guy that was ranked number 7.
Right.
I'm not preparing. I'm preparing for guys like that are at the top of their game. I'm not. I mean, people keep asking this, but the thing is, Mirsad Bektik fight, like, yeah. But that was just, that was Mirsad getting tired. That was Mirsad gassing. That wasn't Darren Elkins coming. Darren Elkins does have a cardio tank, but like that was just kind of like poor fight IQ. I feel like, nothing against Mirsad, but that fight, like he just got super tired. I mean, when you beat somebody up so bad, like you just get tired beating them up, and I think, that's where being with James Krause is going to benefit me. I feel like that's where, having that guy in my corner and stuff like that. But yeah, I'm preparing for Darren Elkins that was ranked 7th or 8th, and the guy that was on a 7-fight win streak. Like, is he aged? I mean, yeah, of course. But I mean, he's still tough. He still can fight, no matter how much he's gotten beat up or whatever, the dude still keeps coming forward. He still has a gas tank, and he's good, man. Like,
without a doubt,
and that's why I want these fights, because this guy has a name, and it's time for my name to be recognized.
Without a doubt, this guy also has a little bit of a Nick and Nate Diaz feel, I think, where sometimes he'll just start like challenging you guys and wave you on, where like he doesn't. I think he'd rather not have people like stick and move and piece him up. He'd rather have people just stand and bang with him. Have you ever had a guy just try to talk trash and get you to cooperate with them and fight their game?
Man, I think, yeah. I think I've had shit talking sometimes, but like the thing with me is like, I'm just gonna stick to my game, and I'm just gonna do what I do. Like I'm not gonna be suckered into that stuff, and I'm gonna stick to the game plan, and I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna fight, and I'm gonna walk out of there with a victory, whatever the cost. If it's a 3-round war, cool. Then we get, I get a win and a fight of the night bonus. That's the cool thing about these fights. That's the plan.
Without a doubt. And the odds makers have you as a favorite, but not a huge favorite, because Elkins is such a tough dude coming off a win. You're like almost 2-1. Does that make sense to you based on the fact that he's got all these fights in the UFC? Do you think you should be a bigger favorite? What's your thought? And do you ever get involved in looking at that and gambling a little bit?
I do get. I mean, I've been my second fight in the UFC. I was a plus 350 against CJ Laramie, and the last fight I was a plus 200. So them odds don't mean nothing. And when it comes down to like, everybody keeps talking about like his UFC experience and all that. But if you go look at my record, my last 9 out of 11 opponents have either been in the UFC, are in the UFC, or one or the other, and they were all guys that are like in their prime and stuff, and when I fought them. So I think that like if we compare records, yeah, he's fought the tougher competition like rankings wise, but like I fought all like 9 of my last 11 are guys that are either in the UFC or like Clay Collard was in the UFC and now he's in the PFL tournament. So yes. Yeah, man, it's interesting how the odds makers make that, and I'm cool either way because I'm not looking at them. I'm gonna make a bunch of people money if they bet on me, but other than that, like that's the way it is.
Absolutely. Do you have any brothers or sisters or cousins that are big fans and that support you or that trained with you?
Yeah, my whole family supports me, but both my little brothers are actually fighters. My middle brother is 170-pound pro. He's 4-1, and my littlest brother is I think 9-4 as a amateur fighter.
Very cool. So, let's throw out some love for them. What are their first names, and what's the last place they fought?
Brady and Brett Minner, and they both fought on the same show, like June something. Brett ended up taking a loss in his amateur title fight, and then Brady won his 4th pro fight. So yeah, they're up and coming. So it's going to be fun watching them as we grow. So
absolutely. Now, do your brothers that fight or any other cousins or good friends ever, or has this ever happened where any of them come over to you and say, Darrick, listen, I got like $1,000 in my entire savings account. Can you promise me that if I put this on you, that I'm not going to lose it? Has anyone ever tried that, or would you like be really pissed off if one of your friends?
I mean, I got a bunch of degenerate friends.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've definitely heard that they got money on me, but like I know that they're going to have money on me, and that's cool because it is what it is. Like they're not going to bring it up if something were to happen, but that's right. The thing, like. I'm winning. I'm gonna win people money. I've won a lot of people money last couple of fights, so it's time to keep the train rolling.
Absolutely. I think I saw someone on social media telling a fighter that since I lost 200 on you, would you be willing to cover me on that and send it to me?
You get messages like that all the time. Like I've probably got 50 messages the last 2 days about like, oh, I got you my parlay, oh, blah blah blah. Like I'm gonna just be like, oh, cool, whatever. I mean, it's your money, like I believe the same thing you believe, bud.
Yep. Absolutely. Do you look at other fighters that are on the same card as you and say to yourself, you know what, I'm going to see some of these guys and girls in the dressing room, I can kind of see what shape they're in, and then I'm going to make a call, make some bets? I mean, if you don't want to answer that, you don't have to, but you're totally legal in doing that. But can you ever get any insight by like being there in the dressing room and see if someone looks good or bad? Or because I imagine
I would no, because we're in separate locker, we get our own locker room, especially with the COVID stuff. But I like to make my predictions on fights and stuff. So yeah, not before the fight card starts. So
makes sense. Do you tend to go on social media and do like a little Darrick Minner prediction hour or anything, or just randomly with your friends?
Nah. I got a couple buddies that will throw around like how we think fights are gonna go and stuff. But other than that, no, I definitely don't go on social media. I don't want to be held accountable for somebody losing their money or those savings or whatever they're going to bet on.
Without a doubt, without a doubt. And because I was going to ask you your opinion on a couple of fights, but I'm thinking now if you'd rather not have anyone, you know.
I'm with it.
It's all right.
With that. I don't care.
All right, cool. I appreciate that. And like we can do a disclaimer, Darrick's not guaranteeing any of these people will win. So, you know, okay, this card you're on is packed, man. You got to know that, like, even the last couple cards had a bunch of people, but they also had a bunch of people no one's ever heard of. This card is sick, man. I mean, this is like, normally I look in the first, second, and third fight of the night, and I look and I say, man, nobody knows who any of these guys are, so there's no point in us breaking it down on our show. But here, there's literally nobody like that. The first fight, it looks like, is Sijara Eubanks, who everyone knows, but Elise Reed, no one knows. Hannah Goldie, Diana Belbita, Andre Ewell, Julio Arce. Let's start with Randy Costa, the Zohan, against Adrian Yanez. Man, isn't that 145 as well?
That's 35.
135. That's right. So one class away. That's going to be a sick fight. How do you think that fight goes? Who do you think?
I'm going with the dog. I'm going with Randy.
Yeah, Randy Costa. Yep. He's tough.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, I think is really, really good fighter out of Boston. I saw him fight.
Super good dude too. Super good dude.
Yeah, he seems like a good dude. All right, next one, Ian Heinisch and Nasruddin Imavov. What's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I'm going with Heinisch.
I think so. He's a tough dude as well. Isn't he a Midwest guy as well, maybe?
Yeah, he's Colorado. Actually, we rode the elevator with his wife, and she's actually a Nebraska girl. I didn't know that until just a minute ago.
Nice. Yeah, he's a cool dude. Really cool, interesting story.
Yeah.
We've had him on the show. Okay.
For sure.
And then here's an interesting one. Bigger guys. Puna Soriano from Hawaii and Brendan Allen. That's a sick one. That one, the odds are almost even.
Man, I was throwing around. I'm leaning towards Puna, but man, that fight, I'm interested to watch that fight for sure.
Yeah, that's just so hard to pick. Almost seems like if Allen gets on top, his jiu-jitsu may be better, but I think Puna's striking better. Both strong guys.
He just hits really hard.
Yeah, he does.
Hits really hard.
Yeah, Puna's tough. I remember when I first saw him, man, he's like a big guy with a big square head, and I'm like, man, that head is good for taking punches and having it not hurt. And it seems like it's when Puna gets hit, it just kind of careens off his head like hitting a brick, right? It's like nothing.
Oh
yeah. Mickey Gall and Jordan Williams. I don't know. It's kind of a weird fight. Any thoughts on that?
I'm gonna go with Jordan Williams in that.
Okay. Yeah, he's the favorite, almost 2-1. And it's gonna be interesting to see Mickey being famous, of course. I think for being the first guy that beat CM Punk, who's no longer with us there. All right, the women, Macy Barber and Miranda Maverick. That's two rugged, tough women.
Man, that's one that I literally have no idea. Like I stayed away from that one.
Yeah, because it's going to be a great fight, don't you think?
Yeah, I do. I believe. I mean, if you're going to do anything, probably pick the over. I don't think anybody's going to finish anyway. I think it's just going to be a 3-round war.
Yeah, I think so. We've had Miranda Maverick on the show a few times. She is awesome. We believed in her from before her first fight in the UFC, and so we've had her on. She's a super nice girl. And I think she's a Midwesterner as well. I'm forgetting what city, but she grew up on the farm. And I remember she told us something interesting. She said when she was young from doing all the farm work, she was so strong that her parents had to tell her when she was hanging around, wrestling around with other girls, to be gentle with the other girls. Yeah, because she was
cool. Cool.
She was so strong. So let me see. And then we got a few more. Dr. Adam Roorda, if we could go back up. There we go. And then we have we know who your prediction for Darrick Minner against Darren Elkins. Do you like to make a prediction of a finish or a distance, anything like that in your own fights?
Nah, man, I'm gonna walk in there and I'm gonna walk out there with my hand raised. That's all that I got.
Absolutely, that's all it's supposed to be about. How about coming up next, the man they call the Matrix, Kyler Phillips against Haulian Paivea. Isn't that your division, featherweight?
Yeah, I think that's 35 too. I'm gonna go with Kyler Phillips.
Okay.
I think he's just on a tear, so I think he's gonna get it done.
Very tough. Okay, I think you're probably right. 35. The women, Aspen Ladd against Macy Chiasson. We've had both of them on our show before. To me, that's a good matchup of like top 5, top 6 girls. I think Aspen's ranked number 3 and Macy's number 5 or 6.
Tough too. I'm gonna go with Ladd. I mean, I think that one's kind of like a toss-up too, but I'm gonna go with Vlad.
Yeah, us too. We had Aspen on the show about 2 weeks ago, and I think Aspen will take that. 2 left. Chris Daukus against a Russian, I think, Shamil Abdurakhimov.
I don't think that fight's on the card anymore.
Is that gone? Okay, for some reason.
I think that one's gone. I think Vlad's the co-main event.
Oh, wow. Okay, so then that's unfortunate. It must have been COVID or something like that. We'll check it out. Best fight odds still have it, but appreciate your tip. So, main event, man, I would love your thoughts because I know you can't guarantee what happens, but as a pro fighter, I don't think you've ever had like 2 or 3 years off, or have you?
No, man. The most I've ever had was like 4, 5 months.
Right, so imagine if you're as good as you are now, and you had to have like 2.5 or 3 years off, and then you came back to Kraus, you came back to Glory. Would you be the same Darrick Minner, do you think, or not quite?
Man, I don't know. I think ring rust is real, and I don't know, man. TJ's fought at the highest level, and I think that, you know, he's gonna be good. I mean, with or without EPOs or whatever, the dude is good. You know, like you can't hide that. But I just think that it's Corey Sandhagen's time, man. I think he's gonna go in there, and I think he's gonna get it done. I don't know how, but I think it's his time, man. The dude's been looking phenomenal.
Absolutely. Yeah, Sandhagen is a beast, and that's at 35. So in the last couple of minutes we have you, 145, and many people say is one of the most exciting divisions in the UFC. I'm going to go on record. I feel it's the most exciting. And because you're in there, and then at the top you have the Volkanovski, you have Max Holloway, you have Zabit Magomed Sharapov, although he's dealing with some illness now. I think he's on his way back. You have Edson Barbosa, you have Brian Ortega, you have the Korean Zombie, you have Josh Emmett. I mean, and I'm even forgetting about a couple of people I know, but man, this is just like a room full of killers. How do you feel being in a division where you got all those tough guys up there? Man,
it's awesome and it's exciting, man. There's a lot of exciting matchups in the future, and there's a lot of exciting matchups right now. You know, you're talking about, you know, the top 10 top 10 guys in the world, yeah. And I'm definitely, that's the goal. You know, I feel like I can compete with the majority, all these guys, you know, majority of these guys, and I'm just ready to show it, man. So yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see what the future holds, and yeah, man, especially for the division, it's going to be awesome.
Absolutely. Well, what's the best place to support you on social media?
My Twitter's at Darrick Minner, and then my Instagram is Minner145.
Excellent. And Darrick Minner, man, I want to thank you so much for coming on. We love talking to the guys out of Glory MMA, and big respect to your team. I've been impressed with you ever since I've seen you, which has only been since you've been in the UFC, so only a few fights, but you just seem like a guy that's, you know, an absolute killer. And yeah, I think that these odds are lower than they should be. Not that Darrick Elkins is not badass, but I think this is going to let people know that Darrick Minner is 100% for real. I think you're going to kill it. I wish you the best of luck in going out and doing what you do on Saturday.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate it.
You're very welcome. Have a great night.
You guys too. Bye.
Thanks. Bye-bye. And that was Darrick Minner. This guy is a badass. You know, I say these things and when I mean them. You guys haven't seen it. You know, if you don't know, watch Darrick Minner's fights, and now you'll know. If you didn't know, now you know. That's it. If you didn't, just go check it out, and you'll see that it's really worth watching Darrick fight. Yeah, I mean, 100%. Yeah, he's there's a few guys out there. I mean, come on, he's facing one of them, Darren Elkins. We've brought one of our previous guests a couple times, Jeremy Stevens. Darrick Minner's one of them up there, and he's actually younger, so he's still got some miles on him. Yeah. And really, that excitement, he's just one of those guys. It really is. So it definitely make sure you're tuning in and watching him this Saturday. Without a doubt. The thing is, if you don't like blood, don't turn in, because there should be a lot of Darren Elkins blood spilled. Elkins got so much starch. He just bleeds everywhere always. And, you know, and Minner is so talented and such a rugged, tough dude. that I think this is going to be one of those fights, honestly, where honestly I'm going to predict, I hate to see it, but a referee might have to stop this on cuts, because even though Minner's going to be smart and use his wrestling, he's the better wrestler, he's younger, he's faster. I still think that.
And Elkins cuts easily now.
And Darrick
really
hits
does.
really hard. So I honestly think this could be a bloodbath, where Darren Elkins is looking like a zombie in a real life in a horror movie, but it'll be real life. And
I'm interested in seeing who's in there for that one, because if it's Herb Dean, 2 drops of blood from Elkins and he's going to stop it.
It's possible, yeah. Throw it.
Sorry, Herb. I like you. We'd love to have you on the show, actually.
Yes, we love you, Herb. And I know
to get your insights, because we get the insights from a lot of other guys.
Yes, we do. Herb's always done his best, but it's so hard. Refereeing is a very hard job. I wouldn't want to be one. But yeah, it's going to be amazing. But yeah, I think Darren Elkins is going to have trouble here, and Darrick Minner is a solid bet to win this fight. Probably.
Who's your dog pick at the end of the day?
Excuse me. I like Randy Costa, like he picked. Who else? Let's go up a little bit more. Man, no, I'm liking mostly the
straight picks,
mostly favorites here. This is another card, kind of like last week, where I think 80% of the favorites won, and they're not necessarily that big favorites. I'm not trying to play it super safe. Not everyone's like 5-1, but a lot of fights here are like -200, -180. And I think those fighters probably will win. But no, my dog, I guess, would be the same dog that Darrick Minner pointed out in Randy Costa. And,
that's the only one I would go with on this one.
Yeah, Randy Costa.
Out of all of them.
And Yanez is a beast. That's going to talk about a bloody fight, although those are both young guys who don't have much scar tissue, but they're going to beat the piss out of each other. I really think this is such a great card.
I'm going to do straight picks down the line with favorites, except for Randy. He's the only dog I'm going to take this week. And then I'm not going to parlay anything.
No. So many people have been on our show. Maybe Andre Ewell, possibly over Julio.
I was thinking that for a second, but then I was just like, that's no.
It's tough. Arce is really tough, But basically, the fighters that I really like. Look who all we've had on our show. We've had Sijara on. She's a big favorite. She should probably win. We've had Ian Heinisch on. That's a tough fight, but I think he wins. Brendan Allen we've had on, and we've never had Puna Soriano. There's no favorite in that fight. They're like dead even. Maybe they're dead even on almost every sports book.
Right here.
You got a slight on one book you have Puna
almost.
Yes, you could wait, no, because they're minuses. Someone has to be plus.
I know.
It's close though, damn close to an arb bet. Yeah, I know. I have a feeling the sports book are almost colluding with each other to make sure there's nothing, that there's a disparity.
Oh, they'll do that.
Yeah, they don't want any arbing. But I think Mickey Gall's probably not going to win. So Jordan Williams, Puna and Brendan Allen's going to be a war. That's such an important fight for both guys. They're both super young and talented. And then we have Miranda Maverick, a frequent guest on our show, over Macy Barber. She's the favorite. And then probably Corey Sandhagen. TJ Dillashaw is a beast though, and 2.5 or 3 years off is going to be tough. But if he can subscribe to the school of Dominic Cruz, saying there is no ring rust, and if he comes back and there's no ring rust, he could beat Corey Sandhagen. And going to be tough. And then Aspen Ladd, and I think she comes in over Macy Chasson. It's going to be a tough fight. And Kyler Phillips is just such a beast. Yeah. So probably mostly favorites here. But anyway, want to thank our guests in order of appearance. A big thank you from the PFL to Brendan Loughnane from Great Britain, Manchester in England. Thank you so much, Brendan. Big thank you to Ray Bradaboy Cooper from the PFL from Hawaii. Big thank you. Thanks to Tony Cox for providing them. Big thank you to our final guest, Darrick Minner from the UFC.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Glory MMA.
Thank you, everybody out there. You guys are amazing. Make sure to head on over to our social media at MMA Power Hour. Hit us up and make sure in the search bars, wherever we don't have a profile, actually type in MMA Power Hour. Just as separate words, and you will find us. Thank you guys so much. Colin, I am going to go ahead and call it this week for myself. I'm going to go ahead and tap out.
Excellent, Dr. Adam Roorda. Thanks for all you do. Guys and girls, go out there and spread the love in a positive way. Really be that guy, be that girl that does that. We need it in these times. Even people that are out of your normal wheelhouse, let them know you're with them and you care, even if you haven't talked to them for a while. Take good care of your pets. Make sure they have a cool place and fresh water and food in these super hot summer days. And you know, thank you so much for being with us. For the whole team at MMA Power Hour, I'm going to say first, feel the power. We'll see you next week. I'm tapping out. Peace.